Howdy, welcome back to Cinema Sitdown. I'm Nolan, and I'm joined by...
I'm Icarus.
I'm Cass.
I'm Josh.
I'm Isaiah.
And this week we watched the 2017 action movie Baby Driver, directed by Edgar Wright. And we'll talk about it more in one sec. Well, for starters, what did everyone think? Just sort of a baseline thoughts.
I mean, this isn't the first time I've seen this. I mean, I think we've all seen this numerous times, but I'm always fascinated with this movie, and I love watching every time for the editing aspects of it, the cadence of like cutting at a certain flow of the song, or the choreography with the movements of according to the song, like especially like in the opening with Baby, like he moves kind of with the flow of the song. I like. It's kind of like ASMR kind of thing. Like it just feels good when you see it, kind of thing, you know. So I mean, I always love this movie, and anytime it's on, I'll easily watch it. So.
Yeah, I would say this has been like my fifth time watching it, and I still really enjoy a lot of the parts that you mentioned. Everything is just really in sync with the music and the action. And this time around, though, I just started to feel like I could critique it a little bit more. I just kind of was watching it. I was like, it's kind of shallow to me. After watching it this time, with the characters, I'm just not invested. And I felt with some acting, I was just kind of watching like, oh man, I can't believe I watched that and didn't notice it the first time. But I mean, the action is cool, and that's what it is at its basis. So I can't really judge it too hard when that's what it's trying to do.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I kind of feel the same way. I've watched it several times. The first time I watched it, obviously you get really mesmerized by like the cutting to the music. It's really fascinating. The editing is stellar in this movie, I think. Again, kind of some of the story, I agree. The more I watch it, I'm like, this is kind of misogynistic a little bit. Like it fails. Don't remember what the test is called, but when there's no female character, yeah, that isn't just there for like romantic support, it definitely fails that. So just kind of, yeah, I still think it holds up though. The editing, again, I really like that, but I'm an editor, so.
Yeah, I've also seen this movie a bunch of times. When it came out in theaters, I think I saw it like 5 times. I used to work in a movie theater, so it was free, okay? Wasn't paying every single time. But I still like this movie, like for what it is. I like, obviously the syncing to the music is cool, and the editing. I will say, yeah, I agree, like the characters don't hold up as much as I like get older and I'm like not a 17-year-old watching it anymore. But it's still an enjoyable film, and I love diner vibes too, so.
Yeah. So Isaiah, you brought up the acting, and that's something I feel like we got to get out of the way really quick. This movie is, you know, it's pretty great, but it's a movie about a bunch of criminals, starring a bunch of criminals. So what do we think? You know, watching that, seeing the faces of some people who we know maybe aren't the best.
I did used to have a Baby Driver poster in my home, and then Kevin Spacey's allegations came out, and I took it down. And that was like the last I really thought of it, and seeing him up there again just made me feel icky a little bit, to be honest.
That's interesting. I mean, I agree. I mean, completely. Like, I don't like anything that he is. Like, it's disgusting, the things, the allegations and whatnot. I guess for me, like, I'm 34 years old, so I mean, I've seen him and stuff since I was a kid, and seeing things like House of Cards that he was in, I thought was spectacular. I mean, so sometimes, not all the time, like sometimes I can easily, like, even watching some people's stuff, I can't watch it because of that, but sometimes it's depending upon the film or depending upon how much I like the show, I'll still watch it and separate the art from the artist, kind of thing. Like House of Cards, like I don't like anything like he's done personally, but he's just him and everything else in it is so good.
It definitely sucks how great of an actor Kevin Spacey is.
Yeah, I mean, he is a spectacular actor, but you know, in his personal life, it's something different.
Right.
But
Yeah, I would say it was kind of a like reverse thing for me. I tried watching House of Cards, and then like halfway through is when everything started coming out, and for that I could not continue because it was so fresh in my mind, and I was watching Baby Driver here, and obviously I think about it, but it wasn't as bad as when it was so fresh.
Yeah.
And I think having to separate one from the other, I mean, is kind of just a critical skill you have to have when working with art, because so many artists are not great people, and sometimes that is just what it comes to when you're trying to critically think about art. I mean, you can still enjoy something and then be like, no, that guy is not a good person.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Yeah, I agree.
I always tend to live by the philosophy, as long as like I'm aware, people are aware, like you can enjoy this movie as long as you're aware that the actors have some pretty serious allegations against them, and also it's important that the actors are like being tried for these things. Although apparently Spacey has been acquitted now, so
3 weeks ago.
yeah, that's
Interesting.
something.
Yeah.
He definitely did that.
Add some more sauce to the pot.
And Ansel Elgort is the other one who's
Yeah.
a little less
Yeah.
innocent.
So I guess I'm not in the know on this one. What happened with him?
He had sexual assault allegations from a 17-year-old. And it was around the time like West Side Story was coming out, so like last year.
Last year.
I think,
Okay.
or so, yeah.
I did not
I
hear
looked
about
at it
that.
before we did this, and it seems to still be an accusation. It hasn't like gone to trial or anything like that, so.
But that's the type of thing that you definitely have to be wary of whenever you support anything. Is that kind of thing. And then there are a few smaller things that other actors did. Jamie Foxx is fine.
love Jamie
So at least we got him. But yeah, that's the kind of thing that I wanted to kind of get out of the way before we praise the acting or anything, because there definitely were parts that weren't the best acted in the world, but there were some parts that I thought were pretty great, and I was pretty well immersed in the things that were happening, just because as fantastic as it is, things being timed to the music and everything feeling so calculated, there were parts where I was really in, because it felt a lot more grounded than the other half of the movie.
Yeah, I agree with that, and I think that also has to help with, because at that time, Ansel, the main character, Baby, he wasn't the best actor. Let's be real here. He was the weak link in there. But his chemistry with Lily James was off the charts. I mean, you buy into their love story just like that, just with them being together. But I think what grounds it in the acting is people like John Hamm, people like Jamie Foxx, people like Kevin Spacey, whether we want to admit it or not. But their acting, their stellar acting, is what helps carry him as well to the finish line, essentially, if you want to go that route.
Driving reference.
I mean, I would probably agree with that. I just feel like they could have easily made Baby to be this average kind of guy and make him relatable. I mean, they tried to do this love interest thing that I think could have worked. Just like an average guy just trying to take care of his loved ones. But they just try and portray him as this like badass, which the driving part, that's cool. I'm fine with that. But he's just like, they want to portray him as, I don't know, they just like, every time he like shoots someone, they portray it as him being really cool. And that kind of also goes in with that I wanted to talk about, with him just being portrayed as this cool guy. And, all that is with the love interest. She doesn't ever question anything he does, because that would make Baby not look like a cool guy. Or at the very least, they would have to bring into some morality of what he's doing. And that really troubles me. The girlfriend just kind of goes along with it the whole time. And then at court, it's just kind of brushed away. It's just like, oh no, he was a sweet kid. He threw a purse. It's like, they don't really, they just portray Baby as this perfectly moral, great guy. It's like, no, he's not. He's not a good person.
Nothing about Baby is genuine at all, from the fact that half of the things that he says are already other movie quotes that he sees on TV. Like there's that one scene that's 4 or 5 movies he's skipping through the channels, and all of those lines get used later, because he just sort of has to draw from the environment around him, which is interesting until it becomes a problem of portrayal, because at some point he becomes kind of an unreliable narrator. Like at the very end, when he gets out of jail and Deborah's still there. I still don't know if that's real or not. And this is like my 10th time watching the movie. I don't know, because I mean she waits for him for 5 years, maybe longer. But at the trial, she said that they were just friends and maybe wanted to be something more. Like that type of thing makes me think that he's just sort of not. Since he's the main character, it's sort of an issue of perspective of if any of this is really happening the way it is, or if it's just a kid lost in some music.
Yeah, I didn't really think about the it possibly not being real.
I didn't want to think about it because
it kind of blew my mind. I don't mean to cut you off.
No, I've thought about that. I mean, someone brought that up to me one time too, about if he's a actually reliable narrator. I looked at it through the lens of he is a traumatized, like as far as we talked about him, like, you know, learning different lines and like how he lives through different TV shows. He's a kid who got both his parents ripped away from him at a very young age. So, and he grew up in with a foster guy who doesn't even can't even speak. So it's kind of like, you guys ever seen the movie The Cable Guy? I don't know if it's a good comparison, but okay. So basically, he's learned certain parts of his life through television, and sometimes that's just how some kids grow up being. And so, I mean, I can definitely see where you're coming from as far as like him trying to be portrayed as like some cool guy. But again, for me at least, once the chemistry started going between him and Lily James, I kind of just bought into that right away. So I don't know.
Fair enough.
What about you guys?
Wait, what was the initial question?
If Baby was like.
Yes,
yeah.
I think Baby made that up at the end. I think his brain kind of just like was like, I'm just gonna go to my happy place and be here.
Because we did see that same shot earlier.
Yeah, it was like so similar to the first shot of his like fantasy of her.
The black and white.
Right, and then it was just like modern at the end. So if Baby needs to do that to cope, I'm okay with that. But I don't necessarily think that's what actually happened. Especially when you guys are saying like Deborah was talking about how they were friends. Yeah. And I wouldn't have said they were friends. Like
they kissed a couple times.
Well, yeah. But I would have said they were definitely more romantic than anything. So the fact that she says that and then that's where it ends, I'm thinking he just is going off in his little world.
Speaking of which, he looks like a terrible kisser, and that's probably the least of his sins, you know, in the movie and without. But you know, I thought I should mention it because I saw it this time viewing, and I was like, oh, gross. But yeah, Baby. The more times I watch it, I don't even know if Baby is my favorite character, because he's like Isaiah was saying. The first time I watched it, I was like, oh, this guy's awesome. And the more I watch it, it's like this guy is a liar. And in this context, that is kind of cool. But I don't even know who my favorite character would be because they're all so terrible. Actually, no, that's not true. My favorite character is Deborah.
Deborah's awesome.
I just decided that halfway through the sentence. So my point is dead. I'm sorry, guys.
No, I'm curious now. What about him that you didn't necessarily like, or even like you, Cass? You said he's not one of your favorite characters. So for me, I find him a sympathetic character because he's doing these jobs. I mean, yes, he was boosting cars, but if you think about a kid who's just trying to survive, I mean, people do what they have to do to survive. I mean, whether it's right or wrong. I mean, certain things are right or wrong, you're right. But when you're in those kind of situations, you do what you have to survive. Right. So for me, I looked at him as a sympathetic character because he boosts the car from a guy, and now he's stuck with him, or else he knows his family is going to get killed, or even possibly himself. So like he just does these. Now he's just stuck in a rock and a hard place. But I'm just curious, like why you guys don't see it. How do you see it differently? I'm just curious.
I think possibly also seeing it so many times, the like pizzazz of Baby has worn off. Because I remember seeing it initially and not being like, oh, Baby was kind of a loser or whatever. Which he's not a loser, but you know what we're saying. But after seeing it so many times, he just kind of blends in. I don't know, nothing about his character really stands out to me. And maybe that's more the point of Baby. He's just blending in, literally doing what he has to do to survive. Because even when he steals the car, he still feels bad, you know? So he's just trying to do what he's supposed to do. But yeah, he kind of just blends in a bit too much for a main character.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I personally just kind of feel like Baby's kind of portrayed as, in some moments, as caring about the average guy. He doesn't actually want to hurt the average guy, but at the same time he is going along with these heists, and he knows that people are getting shot and killed. He doesn't really care about that. He kills bats, for example, only when he's threatened, and he's, you know, mad that he messed with his kind of friend. I forget the guy's name. But the foster, yeah.
Is it Joseph?
Yeah,
Yep,
and
Joe.
he only really cares after that happens. And then he's mad at him. At least that's how I saw it. I mean, he's gone through with, and he doesn't really care about the cops being shot at all. Any of the danger he's giving to any of these people, the only time he gives up is because he has no other choice, and, oh, my girlfriend's with me. I guess I'll, you know, look cool in front of her, and there's no other choice at this point.
Well, if you've noticed, like from the beginning, heist they never kill anybody. But it wasn't until Jamie Foxx's character comes in and they kill the bank
security
guard, and Baby sees that. If you notice after that, he doesn't act the same. Like the beginning, he gets the coffee, he's dancing around. The second time around, when Jamie Foxx's character's there for the other job, his rhythm's off. He's not wearing his glasses. He's not himself. You can tell like the death of people who don't deserve it starting to slowly bother him until eventually comes to a point where he just can't take it anymore. Especially when you involve like the girl he likes, Deborah, and also his foster father. Especially when Kevin Spacey brings him up, saying like, well, you know, especially that goes to his house, like that whole scene where he's like basically telling you, you're gonna do this for me, or I'm gonna kill everybody you love, kind of thing. Yeah. So it kind of goes to a boiling point. At least that's how.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, that's
a good point.
I definitely see that as just natural character progression, and all of those are good points. I just more so meant he's not my favorite character anymore, just because whenever I first saw it, I was like, well, that stuff is awesome. Like I wish I could do that kind of thing, and I'm just not really seeing it like that anymore. I just I feel like the appeal that these characters have towards me is more of just like the person that I can care about and think that they are really doing the right thing the entire time. And with Baby, it's just, you know, he had to learn, and towards the end I like him more and more, but I don't know, it's just a complicated character, which makes him a very good character.
Yeah, I get it.
But another thing about Baby is just the way that he does things. He's been doing it since he was a little kid. Grew up with all this music, and of course he has his one killer track, "Brighton Rock" by Queen. And I just want to know what would be your guys' killer tracks. To clarify, this is not a track that you would use while killing someone as someone.
We don't support killing or violence.
Hot take,
Not
murder.
cool.
Not great. Not great.
Who would make a mistake like that?
if you know, "Perfect Day" by Lou Reed would be a good one to, you know, have to kill somebody to.
All right. So, killer track in the context of Baby Driver. Let's see him.
So I just want to clarify. It's like the track that you would like drive
Drive like you would too.
like
Yeah.
if you were
Driving like Baby, driving fast, driving, you know.
I feel like "Thanks for the Venom" by My Chemical Romance is a good one, because it's got this killer like guitar right at the front. It like punches really hard. So I don't know.
Currently, I would choose "Speed Drive" by Charlie XCX. Not only does it have driving in the title, but the beat is just super, super fast, and I just feel like I would be like doing this. Like the G's would be all throwing me back.
Even though the tagline is "all you need is one killer track," I really couldn't decide. So my two picks are "Heartbreaker" by Pat Benatar and "Hazy Shade of Winter" by the Bangles.
I don't know if anybody knows this band, but "Day to Remember," they have a song called "Downfall of Us All." It's a really great song. I like that one. Or I would have to go "Centuries" by Fall Out Boy. Is a really good one. I think that'd be a good one to drive.
We stand Fall Out Boy here.
I also had two picks.
Yeah, I couldn't pick just one.
Yeah, my first one, I mean, I was really going with like fast-paced songs, which may seem like it should be, but my first one's "This Charming Man" by the Smiths, and my second one is from another movie about a heist driver, which is "Real Hero," which is from Drive. And of course, I
love Drive.
Go with that one as well.
Drive's a fantastic film.
So to wrap things up, now that we got everyone's killer track, what'd you think of the movie, 1 through 10?
I would do like a 7.5 out of 10. It's definitely dropped over the years, but yeah.
I'm gonna agree with Icarus, 7.5. I still enjoy the watch. All the music is really unique, and it's like really cool to see it all together and like listen to the soundtrack, and you can see the movie in your head still. 7.5.
I've been thinking about it. I think most of my issues with the characters really are just issues with the cast. So for that reason, just the movie itself, I'm still gonna give it a 10.
Nice.
Okay,
Wow.
work.
I'm probably gonna go 8.5 out of 10. I mean, Edgar Wright is just such a great filmmaker. How he choreographs everything. Like you got to think that opening sequence was literally just had to be done on practice constantly. So I mean, 8.5. It's still a great film. I still enjoy watching it every time.
Yeah, I think first viewing probably would have given it like a 9. After now, I'd probably steal the 7.5 as well. I'm gonna give it that.
Nice.
Well, so we kind of recommend it. You know, we like
yeah,
it.
give it a
It's on the
try.
upside.
Yeah,
You should give it a try.
Yeah, definitely.
And with that, we'll see you in the next one.
Wear your seatbelt.
Right.